What's going on, y'all? In this video, psychological integration is the name of the game. So we're going to be referring to this book right here, No Boundary. I'm going to flip through it. I'm going to read some of my highlights in it. But before we do that, let's talk about psychological integration. I got a definition. Shout out ChatGPT. Our handy dandy ChatGPT says, psychological integration is the process of bringing together different parts of your mind, your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, memories, and even conflicting identities into a more unified and balanced whole. Instead of feeling split or pulled in different directions internally, integration helps you feel aligned, coherent, and whole. So, that's actually one of the greatest affirmations, and I'm going to just share it with y'all right now, is being whole, saying that you are whole right now. So many times we walk through this life thinking about the thing that we need/want, thinking about what we need to do before we can do this, or what we need to have before we can do this. And it's like, nah, just know that you're whole right now. You have the ability to manifest and become and do whatever you want to do. We are whole. And then you just improve on that. You just improve and keep that strong mindset. But psychological integration, why is this shit important? Why is this shit the name of the game? It's the name of the game because basically it allows you to have more control of your life. It allows you to have more control of yourself. It allows you to know and understand self. It allows you more peace, more happiness, more fulfillment. So it's shadow work. And understand that shadow work is an unlimited thing. It's infinite. Shadow work is like building wealth. You can do as much shadow work as ever, and you'll still always have more shadow. But you can just dive deep into so many intricate levels. You can read and study and know thyself to infinite levels. So just understand that. It's not a goal of perfection. It's a goal of becoming whole. It's a goal of integration. It's a goal of acceptance of self. So, yes. Let's talk about the shadow. So, in my notes, I got a lot of definitions, and I'm going to start referring to my notes a little bit more. But the shadow, goddamn. The shadow is an unconscious collection of undesirable and repressed characteristics. Now, this is the difference between the ego and the shadow. The ego and the alter ego is you. You are conscious of your ego and your alter ego, whoever you perform to be, rather on social media, in person. You flipping different personalities with different people. You got alter egos. When some music come on, when you start drinking, when you smoking, you on some shrooms, you're dancing, you're clubbing, you got an alter ego. But then the shadow is the unconscious alter ego or unconscious controller. Imagine the fuck that. You got an unconscious controller, a fucking entity that takes over at times. Unconscious and unknown, and that shit starts to control your reality. That's fucking crazy. It's pretty fucking wild. It's pretty crazy that that's even a side effect of this game of life. But Eckhart Tolle said, ordinary unconscious is motherfucking just thinking and going in regular random thoughts. You just get unfocused. You start drifting. You start daydreaming. You might start thinking negatively about somebody or some situation. You might go in the past. This is ordinary unconscious. It's when you go unconscious. Being conscious is just being aware, being focused, being intentional and intentful about your thoughts and your actions present in the moment. That's consciousness, being conscious. And then unconscious is when you fucking lose sight of that. You lose the control of that. It just slips the fuck away. Now, extreme unconscious is crashing out. Anger, sadness, crying, extreme depression, just angry and mad as fuck for some reason that you've created in your thoughts. And it's just from identifying with thoughts. It's identifying with the ego. So the shadow is that collected amount of fucking characteristics that are undesirable, traits and things that you don't like about yourself, things that you say is not accepted. So, of course, guys, we're living in a controlled society. This shit is extremely programmed and fucking mind controlled word spells and cultural traditional ways to be and think and live and move. So your judgments of how you measure yourself is based on the controlled society. Of course, you got your own personal wants and desires, but then how you may want to be and behave and think and talk will conflict with what is normal and accepted within this controlled society. And that's really like in person. Like, because on the internet, it's so crazy. We see all of the fuckery. We see all of the savagery. We see all of the craziness of this human experience, and especially here in America. But in person, we all act like that shit don't exist sometimes. But then that's where the term taboo comes from. It's like certain things is just taboo to bring up. Certain things is taboo to talk about. So yeah, God motherfucking damn it. This shit is crazy. But the societal programming, we have the internet, which we're all aware. We see fights. We all listen to the music. First off, they is playing goddamn NBA YoungBoy in NBA arenas. Coincidence, synchronicity, CIA, who fucking knows? But the shit is deep. The shit is crazy because it's like this culture of violence. America literally runs off violence and entrepreneurship and being sneaky and being manipulative and motherfucking controlling the minds of people. It's no way that we just really value a culture of guns and money and sex and drugs and high fucking frequency vibrations. America is like really goddamn, as it all integrates into me right now. The only way to make America great again, Trump has to go goth. Trump has to absolutely become gothic. Trump gotta fucking dye his hair black. Trump gotta get some tattoos. Trump gotta start drinking and smoking. Trump don't drink and smoke. He is a sober man. That's why he has so much psychological control. That's why he has so much power and mental motherfucking mind control over the citizens and people in this whole world. All right. Goddamn. Like I said, America has to become goth. That is the only way to really solve and fix America. Because, look, we all know what the fuck we live in. We all know what this world consists of. We all see the violence, the lustfulness, the greed, the money, the fighting. We see how we are a war-faring country. We are fucking violent. We are a crazy-ass collective of people that are okay with other countries being bombed as we sit around and consume good food and entertainment. And we are okay with rappers still talking about gunning another nigga down when we've seen countless amounts of rappers getting gunned down. So this shit is interesting how when we walk around in society, we act cordial and civil, and it's certain things we don't say. It's certain barriers you don't cross. It's certain ways you just choose not to be yourself. You choose not to be the full version of you. You choose not to express and share the full content of your mind and your experiences. Now, I get it. Let me make this clear. Psychological integration is not just about being yourself. Don't be a nincompoop. It is not just about being yourself. You need to be what you need to be for success. Social success, financial success, relationship success. But if you choose to just be yourself, just be okay with what you attract. Be accountable for the cause and effect that you bring into your life. But it's not just about being yourself. Being yourself is a huge mind fuck because it's like everybody is not going to like your full self. And then your full self is really going to be inappropriate for certain situations where you could have just been a different version of yourself and talked less, shared less, acted less crazy. But you constantly got to be yourself. You constantly got to say what's on your mind. You constantly got to fucking flip out. You constantly got to rage and talk your shit. You constantly got to seek attention. All of that being yourself shit, it's like, y'all, you got power. And how you wield that power is all up to you. With great power comes great responsibility. But again, shit is about psychological integration. So being fully yourself is basically like being 100% extreme in this life shit. And you know you're not being fully yourself because you never walk outside naked. You never walk into an establishment naked. So you know you're not fully being yourself. All right, that's that. Okay, psychological integration. What the fuck was I just saying? God damn. Yeah, I'll just start right there. We really not fully being ourselves. I guess porn stars is really one of the greatest examples of people fully being themselves, because you naked on camera. You an OnlyFans person, you naked on camera. Like, that is extreme bold and courageousness. Let's just be real. So it's all about the scale. It's all about the degree. That being the most extreme degree, and then just always having to talk and seek attention and be the center and everything else in whatever social environment. You just need validation. You just need somebody to see you for who you are. You just dying for somebody to validate and say, yep, you're exactly what you say you are. You're right. You're right. Man, that shit is just really destructive. Okay. Enough talk. Let's dive into the book. This book right here, Ken Wilber is the author. The book is called No Boundary. It came out in the 1980s. This is how I know that the elites use this knowledge. They have these type of understandings, and it's really not fucking secret. It's just rare, and people in our generation ignore it. But this is how you solve your life, because you really don't solve life by forcing and controlling and trying to fucking know everything about everything outside of you. It is all about controlling and knowing yourself. And then the motherfucking symptom of that is controlling things outside of you because of the aura, the resonance, the spiritual, blah, 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 psychic ability, more control, ESP, extrasensory perception. It's a lot of shit that comes with it. But you first need to know thyself, to know other people, to know this world. This book right here, what does it say? Eastern and Western approaches to personal growth. Personal growth. Isn't that what we're here for? Or what's the opposite of growth? Decay. So do you want to grow or do you want to decay? It is up to you. But yeah, this book, goddamn, it really just goes in on the fact that there is no boundary in this life. There is absolutely no boundary in this human existence. We create and label and put the boundaries on things, and therefore the boundaries exist once you put it on things. The boundaries are self-human created. We live in a culture, a society, a world that labels and wants to intricately fucking put a name, a word on everything. And just remember, the English language is the pacifying language. You see Chinese people talking aggressive. You see African language. You see motherfucking Spanish people talking with so much goddamn high frequency. And when we are here in the English speaking culture, we talk with a certain calm, collected, controlled dialect, a certain way that we monologue and distribute the vocabulary of the English language. And it's the pacifying language that should have put you to sleep. So, yeah, it's also the most advanced. It's also the most intellectual. It's also the most, like, basically, goddamn, yes, advanced. And this book is pretty fucking advanced. But it's really not that hard once you actually just choose to tap in and focus on some information like this. But imagine, we are souls having a human experience. We attract everything into our life. And you know why? Because you're still alive. You're still attracting some food into your body. You still are fucking putting your clothes on and getting up and getting ready and going to work and making some money. You're choosing to be alive. You're attracting everything to you. It's one of the first steps of cosmic accountability, along with being a soul, having a human experience, along with knowing that your thoughts create your whole reality. And it's all just one big thing. So, Eastern and Western approaches to personal growth. So, the East is China, India, that whole part of the motherfucking world. Then the West is the UK, and then Americas, Canada, Mexico. there are different approaches to how we psychologically, therapy, psychoanalysis. There are different approaches to how we, in each part of the world, approach it. The East more so approaches you as a soul having this whole human experience, and everything outside of you is separate. Then you got Western Christianity, New Age approach that basically says, nah, you have an ego and you need to integrate your ego with your persona to be a better functioning human person. So clearly the real split that's taking place is one is recognizing this whole life as something to damn near evolve from, and one on this hand is looking at this life as something to improve. Now that's a split. Now it's different approaches. So let's get into the book. And I'm gonna flip through it. Got a lot of highlights, got a lot of notes. We may be here for a while, but like any rational person, I will start on page 1. Suddenly, without any warning, at any time or any place with no apparent cause, it can happen. All at once, I found myself wrapped in a flame-colored cloud. Okay, skip a little bit. I did not merely come to believe, but I saw the universe as not composed of dead matter, but it is on the contrary, a living presence. The law of vibration, law 3 in the Kabbalion. Principle number 3, the laws are subsets of the principles. So the law of resonance, your vibratory energy, other people's vibratory energy, that is a law, a subset under the principle of vibration. Principles come first. Everything is principle. That's why it's just those fucking 7 principles, the Hermetic principles. That's the real laws of life. All right. I became conscious of my eternal life. It was not a conviction that I would have eternal life, but a consciousness that I possessed eternal life. Y'all been there, off the weed, off the psychedelics, off the meditation, off the workouts. You know that you are something more than just the body. You know that you are something more than just the face, the name. You know, you understand this, but we soon get detached to the outside world because of the energy pools. But it's okay. The more that you tap in, this is the growth. And this is how you keep that presence and keep that focus, that you are a soul having a human experience. Whatever you want to call it, because lately a new term I've put on it is the divine mystery. We do not know what the fuck we really are, what we come from, or how this life shit came to be. The divine mystery, the divine spark of consciousness. All right, I'm going to just go through the highlights. What a magnificent awareness. We would surely be making a grave error if we hastily concluded such experiences to be hallucinations or products of a mental aberration. For in their final disclosure, they share none of the tortured anguish of psychic visions. Awareness truly makes you feel good. It's enlightenment. It's not no hallucinations. It's not no demons. You don't got to be scared. You don't got to be in fear of God or fear of the devil. No, it's just awareness. It's just coming to truth. It's coming to the light. Aight. The most fascinating aspects of such awesome and illuminating experiences, and the aspect to which we will be devoting much attention, is that the individual comes to feel beyond any shadow of a doubt that he or she is fundamentally one with the entire universe, with all worlds, high or low, sacred or profane. This sense of identity expands far beyond the narrow confines of the mind and the body and embraces the entire cosmos. It's that energy, y'all. We are all one, quantumly connected. This shit is all Indra's web. That's the Indian thing that basically says that everything is connected. String theory. I am you, you are me, I am who I am, we are God, we are all souls having a human experience, all part of the collective divine consciousness. But it's just the boundaries and the separations that we put on this world. Imagine this, you fucking identify with something, and another person identifies with something that's the opposite of what you identify with. And then you decide to have a battle and a conflict, an inner tension between them, when you can just go about your business. It is kind of insane, but it's okay. We're going to continue to deprogram. All right. As cosmic consciousness, the Muslims call it the supreme identity. Supreme identity because it is an identity with the all, We will generally refer to it as unity consciousness, a loving embrace with the universe as a whole. All right, so first and foremost, let's just stay on track. Remember what we're doing here. Psychological integration. The shit does really start from you understanding that you are a soul, your awareness inside of the human body, controlling the human body. Then you move on to your thoughts and your ego and what you want, and then how you want to be perceived and how you want to live your life. But to really take it back to an elementary level, you want to start there. This book greatly gets into the shadow and projection and how we attract everything, how we put certain labels on people, and it's just going unconscious in so many different ways. But to stay conscious is the first and most important thing. And just remember, soul having a human experience. You have all of these extra parts and different things in you and happening to you, but you must focus and control. So, yes, the process of integration. Just imagine, y'all, having a better life. Oh, goddamn. Don't mind the blue tongue. I done took the motherfucking methane blue before I started recording. I just had the blue tongue the whole time. But yeah, the methane blue. If you know, you knew. Psychological integration. People call it your dark side. People call it motherfucking your aggression. Whatever it is. But to integrate that with that side of you that's sensitive and loving and caring and compassionate. For one, nigga, we is all just babies, grown up as babies, experiencing the world. We all just came into this life randomly and been growing up and surviving within it. I done really had the blue tongue the whole time. But we all just been in this life surviving. It's like, man, oh man, that toughness, it's that toughness. And that's what I'm happy I put in my description. My goal is to help you become more calm, more tough, and level-headed. So you gotta become calm. You gotta calm down the toughness, because it's always gonna be more people. It's always gonna be somebody that could whoop you. It's always gonna be somebody that could jump you. The military got fucking guns. I don't care how big your gang is or how many niggas you roll with or how many switches you got on your shit. The military got guns. The cops got motherfucking squad cars and police shields, motherfucking all type of tactical equipment. God damn, y'all. And then just imagine, motherfucker, we ain't even in prison. So calm down, because that's where the toughness is going to lead you. To prison or dead or out of whatever relationship you in, because you can't soften up. You can't be a little more vulnerable. You can't be a little more chill. You can't just focus on self a little bit more. Because that's really what the shit will all come down to at the end of the day. Focusing on what you attract, being accountable for everything that you have and who you are and where you've been and how you did it and how you got it. But yeah, we focus and worry so much about other people. And yeah, it's just whole big cycle. But man, oh man, the channel messages are coming through. Trying to stay on track. Luckily, I know that this video is about psychological integration and just being your best self. Being not just your full self, because you're not really being your full self in general. So you're really trying to act and be what you want to be perceived as when you think you're just being yourself. But no, psychologically integrate and also be that part of you that you have suppressed. That knowledge, because we suppress the good and the bad. That's the part that people forget. We suppress that good side of us that knows more, that side of us that is more talkative, more communicative, has more facts, has more perspective, has more energy to bring to the table. We motherfucking goddamn suppress that side of us too. And the greed and the aggression and that want for more control, more power, more money, more fame, more attention. We suppress that side of us, and we suppress that side of us that has a loving heart, compassion, and empathy for other people. And you suppress that side of you that don't give a fuck. You may really not give a fuck. You may really not care about this world and the shit that people go through. And that's okay. But yeah, you ain't gonna always bring that shit to the table, because you know you're really gonna be ostracized, because we all know that the bigger percentage of people in America really do got a loving heart. But that mix of that darkness, that mix of that greed, that aggression, that shit is an American goddamn side effect of this land, of how we live, of what we do. So don't suppress it. Don't block it off of you. That's why the only way to make America great again, Trump gotta go goth. It is the only way. All right, let's continue a little bit more. So, widespread is the experience of the supreme identity that it has, along with the doctrines that purport to explain it, earn the name, the perennial philosophy. The fucking perennial philosophy. That just clicked. Do you know what perennial means? Everlasting. The perennial philosophy. This is the singular idea. You deduce down to this and there's nothing else. The supreme identity. We are part of the whole. There is much evidence that this type of experience or knowledge is central to every major religion. Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And I wrote those. Those are basically the 6 main religions in this world. Hinduism 1, Buddhism 2, Hinduism, India, Buddhism, China, Taoism, Asia, Christianity, Western, Islam, Middle Eastern, Islamic, Arabic, and Judaism. The Jews, the Kabbalah, the Torah. So that we can justifiably speak of the transcendent unity of religions. The transcendent unity of religions. Literally all religions talk and come to this exact same conclusion. But then through separation, every single religion is beefing with each other. All right. And the unanimated primordial truth. The theme of this book is that this type of awareness, this unity consciousness or supreme identity, is the nature and condition of all sentient beings, but that we progressively limit our world and turn from our true nature in order to embrace boundaries. Our original pure and non-dual consciousness then functions on varied levels with different identities and different boundaries. These different levels are basically the many ways we can and do answer the question, who am I and who are you? I'll give you a second. Second over. Who are you? You tell me. Just ponder that as we read forward. Remember, a lot of highlights, a lot of notes. First chapter is actually pretty important. I am going, go through this first chapter a little bit, keep talking throughout it, and then I will skip into a chapter in here that is quite important. I know it's a lot of these that are quite important. Every single fucking chapter is quite important. But yeah, it's just certain things I'm seeing about the ego, the shadow, and projection, and goddamn how we just project our anger onto other people. Oh, they did it. It was them. It was her. She's doing it. Why is he doing that to me? Why is my boss treating me like this? Why is my manager? Because I don't ever advise y'all to say the word boss. Excuse me for even saying that. You got a manager, you got a supervisor, but you was your own boss. You was the creator of your reality. You is the motherfucking boss of your life. Ain't nobody above you in no way, shape, or form. I don't care if you in a relationship. I don't care if you is the feminine. If you in a heterosexual relationship or a homosexual relationship, you either the feminine side or you the masculine side. They still ain't your boss. You is the boss. You is in control of your whole life. Let's get that shit clear. So yeah, a lot of this shit, we attract everything. That's why you just gotta be honest with yourself and just be like, it's my ego. It's my subconscious. The reason I'm staying at this job is because I want money. I want a roof over my head. I'm not dead and I'm not homeless. I want to fucking keep doing what needs to be done for my family, my kids. I want to keep impressing my father, my mom, my society, my friends, the people I went to high school with. They got to see me. They got to make money. I got an ego to uphold. I got a persona. I got an image. Just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it and be real. Be trill. Be trill and real with self. It's the only way to better mental health. All right. Yeah. Religions. Y'all know this shit. You know this shit. Who am I? The query has probably tormented humankind since the dawn of civilization. That remains today one of the most vexing of all human questions. Answers have been offered which range from the sacred to the profane, the complex to the simple, the scientific to the romantic, the political to the individual. But instead of examining the multitude of answers to this question, let's look instead at a very specific and basic process which occurs when a person asks and then answers the question, who am I? What is my real self? What is my fundamental identity? When someone asks, who are you, as I just did, and I hope you pondered the question, and you proceed to give a reasonable, honest, and more or less detailed answer, what in fact you are doing, what in fact are you doing when you give this response, when you give this detailed answer, when you give the information of who you are? What goes on in your head as you do this? In one sense, you are describing yourself as who you have come to know it, including in your description most of the pertinent facts, both good and bad, worthy and worthless, scientific and poetic, philosophic and religious, that you understand as fundamental to your identity. You might, for example, think that I am a unique person, a being endowed with certain potentials, and I am kind but sometimes cruel, loving but sometimes hostile. I am a father and a lawyer. I enjoy fishing and basketball. And so your list of feelings and thoughts might proceed. Yet there is an even more basic process underlying the whole procedure of establishing an identity. Something very simple happens when you answer the question, who are you? When you are describing or explaining or even just inwardly feeling yourself, what you are actually doing, whether you know it or not, is drawing a mental line or boundary across the whole field of experience, and everything on the inside of that boundary you are feeling or calling yourself, while everything outside that boundary you feel to be not self. You make that split, you draw that separation, you draw that line between self and not self. Your self-identity, in other words, depends entirely upon where you draw that boundary line. And then I wrote in quotations, animals can't answer that question. They just act. You are a human and not a chair. You know that because you consciously or unconsciously draw a boundary line between humans and chairs and are able to recognize your identity with the former. You may be a very tall human instead of a short one, and so you draw a mental line between tallness and shortness, and thus identify yourself as tall. You come to feel that I am this and not that by drawing a boundary line between this and that, and then recognize your identity with this and your non-identity with that. So when you say myself, you draw a boundary line between what is you and not you. When you answer the question, who are you, you are simply describing what's on the inside of that line. The so-called identity crisis occurs when you can't decide how or where to draw the line. The goddamn identity crisis. Man, oh man. I actually was reading or watching in the Tom Bilyeu podcast some months ago. I had a dude on there talking about the Gen Z identity crisis. And I didn't know it was this steep. But goddamn, I got answers for you to keep. So, my last video, I talked about Baphomet. You must look into that. You must look into this book. You must listen to what I'm saying to you. Because for you to form your identity with a better, more intellectually accurate and sane spiritual understanding will benefit you. You clearly are maybe not fucking with whatever's been out here and whatever you've been rocking with. So maybe look into Baphomet. Look into this book, Ken Wilber, No Boundary, Psychological Integration. Really just knowledge and truth in itself. Identifying with truth. Identifying with truth will help. Because that identity crisis I know is insane, but we in a different time. We a different generation. It's time to intellectually rise above the programming that you've been fed and living in for all of your life. And you don't have to act and display it outwardly to the world. You just have to mentally know. And then that's where the integration occurs. And that's when the outward frequency and change happens. Now, there's a lot of ways to integrate. Let me be real. One thing that I have not mentioned and I meant to mention was that I am talking to the police and the military and anybody that know police and military officers policemen, military. Now I fuck with the ambulance and the fire department. I goddamn fuck with the police at times. Like, let me just psychologically integrate and be real. The police is good at times here in this society. They really protect. They really do help. They really do motherfucking come in and save people. But if it's any of y'all watching, if it's any of y'all that got family members, friends that's in the army, in the police academy, y'all must understand that that is the matrix. That whole entity is what creates and maintains the matrix. Like, literally that. It's a perceived figure of authority, but they really will strong arm you and fuck you up if you get out of line. If you get outside of the boundary lines of the matrix. That's what the police and military is there to do, and that's their job. That's what they are here to enforce. So all this talk and thought about the elites and how they control the world and how they do this and how they're responsible for this, it really is not accurate, because the only thing that is true is that the police and military is a standing entity that keeps all citizens in line all worldwide and protects the elites and serves them more so. Yes, they do good to help a fucking criminal or help a citizen that's being attacked by a criminal, but they're already violating life, the laws of nature. So that's the first thing I want to let y'all know. And even if you're a part of it, you need to psychologically integrate and know and understand that simple fact. And those of y'all that fuck with police officers and got military family, you need to know and psychologically integrate that fact. Because that's one of the first and foremost, and that's some shit that you probably not gonna hear in any other video talking about shadow work or psychological integration. And let's dive further, because this shit is all about the laws of morality. For you to understand the laws of morality, you basically must know that the amount of morality in a society, if the morality is high, then the freedom is gonna be high. If the freedom is high, then the morality is going to be high. If the morality is high, then the freedom is going to be high. Any amount of human tyranny, any amount of human government, any amount of authority, any amount of anti-freedom basically means you're not free. This is law of morality. God damn. Maybe y'all be posting slides and pictures right here. But basically, search Mark Passio. Look up natural law. This world could be free tomorrow if everybody just stopped being mind controlled and violent and accepting human violence and authority. Really, if the police and military put their guns down and stop protecting and serving, I thought about this shit recently. If it's 8 billion people on the planet, then about 500 million would die in the process of us becoming fully free. But goddamn, that's why it feels weird even coming out. Because truly, just for you to understand it is to intellectually understand the facts of it. Like I said, look up Mark Passio, search the true human laws of freedom, the laws of natural law, the laws of morality, all search up Mark Passio. But where my philosophy differs is just that this human realm in itself seems to side on the fucking aspect of take and control. Now, again, if everybody did live in a way that's like peaceful and in coherence with the laws of morality and right versus wrong, fucked up actions versus cool actions, being cool is not harming, not violating nobody. Fucked up actions is violating, is wronging, is harming somebody, taking their peace, trespassing, stealing their shit, sexual assault. And that's all what goes on in this world. Even in war, y'all gotta know that all of that shit is taking place. So let's just say everyone was to live peaceful and in love, then that would be world peace. But really, what are the odds of that? And then, like I always come to the other conclusion, we would just be fighting animals if we didn't have these cities, if we didn't have these civilizations, if it wasn't prison systems for certain fucking people to go to. Yeah, this life shit is just conducive with violence and chaos. So the laws of morality, as I really sit back and think about it, I understand it to be real, but it's almost like a religious fantasy. But shout out Mark Passio. because y'all really need to look and search up his content to further psychologically integrate, to further understand the causes and effects and symptoms of life. Everyone is still programmed. Like, government is still real and it still has a major mass effect, but police officers could at least be nicer. Like, that's one thing that's real. Police and military people could be nicer. There could be less war. There could be more open and honesty and truth in this world. Truth about these laws of morality. Truth about the motherfucking police and authority and how this system really maintains. That's why America gotta go goth and fucking integrate to know that we are living under human governmental slavery and we are willing participants in that human governmental slavery. You ain't gotta voice it, you ain't gotta say it out loud, but getting money, participating in this system, supporting this system, paying your taxes, doing whatever, getting in line with what the cops say. Y'all know what this shit is. Y'all know. So yeah, psychological integration, if you taking it from me, it's all about control. And that's really what life is all about. Control and confidence and competence and love and courage and focus. Yeah. But really, I say control because the government literally controls the world in all nations and all civilizations. Then it creates a bunch of conjecture about who's doing what, who's tied in with who, why did they do this, why is this war started, what elites did this, what pedophile ring, Jeffrey Epstein. And like, what about the presidents of China? What about their corruption? What about Saudi Arabia, continents in Africa? It's corruption and bad shit taking place in every single nation. Every single leader and president and politician is doing some crazy random shit behind closed doors because they have the power. They are protected by their military and police officers that do their bidding. They pay them to fucking control and keep the citizens in line. So that's the facts on that. And then let's return to the book. Remember, No Boundary by Ken Wilber. Shout out Ken Wilber. You need to look him up too. All right. All answers to that question of who am I stem precisely from this basic procedure of drawing a boundary line between self and not self. Once the general boundary lines have been drawn up, the answers to that question may become very complex, scientific, theological, economic, or they may remain most simple and unarticulated. But any possible answer depends on first drawing the boundary line. The most interesting thing about the boundary line is that it can and does frequently shift. It can be redrawn. In a sense, the person can remap her soul and find in it territory she never thought possible, attainable, or desirable. As we have seen, the most radical remapping or shifting of the boundary line occurs in experiences of the supreme identity. For here, the person expands her self-identity beyond the boundary to include the entire universe. The person expands her self-identity boundary to include the entire universe. We might even say that she loses the boundary line altogether for when she is identified with the one harmonious whole, there is no longer any outside or inside, and so nowhere to draw the line. So that's that nirvana, that samadhi, that extreme spiritual bliss, unity, Christ consciousness. You pray, you go to church when you're really just feeling enlightened. You're really feeling one with the all, one with God, one with spirit, one with source. It's a real thing. And then you just come back down and get attached to your ego, then identify with some thoughts and get angry. Fuck humanity. All right. Throughout this book, we will return and examine the no boundary awareness known as the supreme identity. But at this point, it would be worthwhile to investigate some of the other more familiar ways in which one can define the boundaries of the soul. There are many different types of boundary lines as there are individuals who draw them, but all of them fall into a handful of easily recognized classes. The most common boundary line that individuals draw up or accept as valid is that of the skin boundary surrounding the total organism. This seems to be universally accepted as self, not self boundary line. Everything on the inside of that skin boundary is in some sense me, while everything outside that boundary is not me. Y'all following, y'all tracking? The skin boundary, you within the skin, basically is what we all accept and know and think. Anything that is not within the skin is not me. Anything that is in the skin is me, is mine, is my possession. So we all kind of generally accept and know that, but there's so much more to know and understand about all of this. All right. Something outside the skin boundary may be called mine, but it is not me. For example, I recognize my car, my job, my house, my family, but they are definitely and directly not me. In the same way, all things inside the skin boundary are me. The skin boundary then is one of the most fundamental, accepted and not self boundaries. Okay, let's see. Anything else? So much, y'all. I've definitely read like the last 2 pages. So, fuck it. Let's just keep going. Story time. But in fact, there is another extremely common, well-established type of boundary line drawn by a vast number of individuals. For most people, while they recognize and accept as a matter of fact, as a matter of course, the skin as a self/not self boundary, draw another and for them more significant boundary within the total organism itself. If a boundary line within the organism seems strange to you, then let me ask, do you feel that you are a body or do you feel that you have a body? Most individuals feel that they have a body as if they owned or possessed it, much as they would a car or a house or any other object. Under these circumstances, the body seems not so much me as mine. And what is mine, by definition, lies outside the self-not self boundary line. A motherfucking goddamn pickle. A pickle. This is a pickle. Because we all recognize the skin as the skin that we in. And everything outside the skin is out there. Do you feel you are a body or do you feel that you have a body? Most individuals feel that they have a body, as if they owned or possessed it, much as they would a car, a house, or any other object. Under these circumstances, the body seems not so much as me as mine. And what is mine, by definition, lies outside the self-not self boundary line. Okay. The person identifies more basically and intimately with just a facet of his total organism, and this facet, which he feels to be his real self, is known variously as the mind, the psyche, the ego, the personality. Biologically, there is not the least foundation for this disassociation or radical split. Biologically, there is not the least foundation for this disassociation or radical split between the mind and the body, the psyche and the soma, the ego and the flesh. But psychologically, it is epidemic. It is epidemic. It is epidemic. So, okay, just to wrap us all back on track a little bit, because the intellectual fucking surgery of this book can get a little bit intense. Basically, he just said that biologically, there is no name or word for this split. There's no necessary identification or custom-made knowledge about this split. But psychologically, this shit is an epidemic. It is an absolute epidemic. That's why I'm kind of putting a lot of detail in it, because it's real. It's real. And I don't mind if this video goes long. Shit kind of must be said. Biologically, there's no difference. Notice even here that I must use the word psychology. For the study of overall human behavior, the word itself reflects the prejudice that the human being is basically a mind and not a body. The boundary line between the mind and the body is certainly a strange one, not at all present at birth, but as an individual begins to grow in years and begins to draw up and fortify his self-not self boundary, he looks upon the body with mixed emotions. Should he directly include it with the boundary or his self? Or is it to be viewed as foreign territory? Where is he to draw the line? On the one hand, the body is the source of much pleasure throughout life, from the ecstasies of erotic love to the subtleties of fine food and mellowness of sunsets taken in by the body's senses. But on the other hand, the body houses the specter of crippling pain, debilitating diseases, and the tortures of cancer. For a child, the body is the only source of pleasure, and yet it is the first source of pain and conflict with the parents. And on top of that, the body seems to be manufacturing waste products that for Reasons totally mystifying to the child are a constant source of alarm and anxiety to the parents. Bedwetting, bowel movements, nose blowing with an incredible fuss, and it's all tied in with the body. Where to draw the line is going to be tough. All right, so let me speak to my people a little bit, because hope y'all still with me, hope y'all tapping in. Man, oh man, we was born on this planet. So much to learn, so much to understand. But just remember, knowing thyself is one of the key components to all of this shit. There is no one set way to do shadow work. There is no one set way to understand thyself. There is no one set way to figure out life. You know, you must do it on your own terms and on your own path. And the main confusion is that everyone is trying to do it in some particular way, or thinking that there is one individual way. It's actually pretty insane that this book is like not more popular. It's definitely in my top 5 recommended books. Goddamn. We're gonna read a little further. We're gonna read a little bit further. But by the time the individual has matured, he has generally kissed poor brother ass goodbye, as the self not self identity, as the self not self boundary is finalized. Brother ass is definitely on the other side of the fence. The body becomes foreign territory, almost, but never quite as foreign as the external world itself. The boundary is drawn between the mind and the body, and the person identifies squarely with the former, the mind. He even comes to feel that he lives in his head, as if he were a miniature person in his skull, giving directions and commands to his body, which may or not obey. Extreme ego identification is what I wrote. So, all right, this basically is shadow work for me right now in the moment, because I do heavily identify with the mind. Like, I heavily identify with the fact that I am a soul having a human experience. And of course, there's a 33% split 3 ways. Soul, mind, physical. I'd definitely be about motherfucking 60% soul. A lot of times throughout my day, like, I thought about this term disassociation. People say that disassociation is bad and like, oh, I'm gonna disassociate, I'm disassociating. Like, no, that's actually a great spiritual protection measure, to really just detach from the moment, from where you're at, from physically what you're going through, or life, or just whatever. You disassociate as a soul. You are in the human body. You don't have to be thinking the thoughts. You can just have your body on autopilot. You can do whatever and fucking disassociate. Go somewhere else mentally. So yeah, I definitely realized that I'm such a thinker. I can forget my presence. I can forget how I look. I can forget a lot of things. Clearly my fucking tongue is blue in this video. But regardless of the facts, it's like, you want to identify and still consider your body at all times. Because what I wrote right here was, this is where anality forms. Anality is being anal. It's basically being like a little bit too clean. I don't even want to say cleanly. I don't want to say too cleanliness. It's a little bit too, that may be something that I should look up. Should I look it up, or should I say what the fuck? Anality, goddamn, being anal. This basically has a lot to do with feces, shit, poop, but, pun intended, no pun intended. It is like you basically being too, it's a word that I'm looking for, so I don't want to say nothing else yet. Too particular in a sense, too OCD. Scared to say a certain thing, scared to talk about feces, anal. Anality is called being anal. So it's a weird psychological thing, but you really want to fucking get down to it if you are an anal person. Okay, of course, it's opposite polar extremes of people that are not anal at all. And Sexy Red is an extreme example. That's why I think she might be a CIA agent, because I think she may just psychologically use her power and her understanding of life and shit like this, pun intended, to the very motherfucking reason as to why she's so popular and talk about her asshole in songs and this, that, the other. Then you got all type of rappers, porn stars, movie actors, such and such. These people have a low level of anality. Then you got people that's like shy, timid, not being their true self, not expressing nothing. They have a high level of anality, being anal, OCD. Anal retentive is the word and where it stems from. And it stems from childhood. So you basically do have to deprogram your whole self. You do have to become and switch and become somebody different. And through the process of psychological integration, it can be done. And also through the process of psychological integration, you can manipulate your way to the top. I was watching an interview where somebody said like they've had like over 1,000 interviews and they don't know who's could have been a plant. And I'm like, damn, that's a crazy perspective. Like, you really don't know who is a plant out here. You really don't know who is a motherfucking CIA agent, a motherfucking agent of chaos, an agent of disruption. But it's a lot of people and things out here to steer your mind into stupid shit, into retardedness, into insanity, into fucking loopholes and cycles that are never ending. But I'm here to free your mind, so it's all good. Yeah, get down to that anality. That's what I wrote right here. This is where anality forms. Yeah, when you stop identifying with the body, when you forget about the body, when you forget that we all have bodies. That's why I say we're all vampires. Everything on this fucking planet is just here to feed and eat. And it's a just big energy exchange. And you don't know what type of vampire you're dealing with. Oh my God, it's a crazy life. All right. In short, what the individual feels to be his self-identity does not directly encompass the organism as a whole. All right. And right here, I remember I was on a cruise, I was on shrooms, and I was reading this book, and I was vlogging. So this is captured in my cruise vlog. But I wrote, most people are missing the Baphomet mark, because it's the middle point. And of course, what is a sin? A sin is to miss the mark. So the process of integration does have a lot to do with Baphomet. Does have a lot to do with that statue. Like I said, it's the template for shadow work. So that symbol is ancient and means something, and it's so powerful, and it either scares people away because you're scared of yourself. It's scaring you away from self. All right. This symbol here, this image, this statue is a template for psychological integration. This is a template for shadow work. Because when you ignore the body, when you identify so much with the mind, with the ego, with the persona, and you're really cutting off parts of you, you are really selling yourself short. Like, you have the whole body. And this image right here has been around all of our lives, but we are made to fear it. You are made to be afraid of this. You are made to think that this is scary, that this is a demon, that no, this is you. Do not run away from self. And I'm not trying to force you to fucking accept or believe in this or nothing of the sorts, but I broke it down in the last video. So again, male and female and male. You'll oftentimes see the tits, you'll oftentimes see a dick. You got the wings symbolizing the flight of freedom, liberation, the horn, the torch, the horn symbolizing strength, power, the torch symbolizing illumination. This is the real Illuminati. This is the real illumination. The Illuminati and whoever is illuminated know shit like this because they understand that this is what the world ignores. This is what you ignore in yourself. This is why you keep crashing out. This is why you keep having problems. This is why you're not successful in the ways that you want to be successful. Truly. Yeah, I can say it because I'm pretty successful in the ways that I want to be successful. Material shit means very little. It'll come if I want it. It'll come when I get it. But goddamn, the control of self, the knowledge of self, the power, the motherfucking power is real. And I can say that shit. And I can tell you that this symbol, it's not like you're just going to buy this shit right here from your local witchcraft shop and then become something new. You have to do the work to psychologically integrate. You have to absolutely tap in and do it for self. Do it for you. The caduceus, Kundalini energy rising within you. This is Satan and Christ in one. I wish it had a cross on it, but it doesn't. It has a 5-pointed star. And of course, the 5-pointed star just symbolizes the 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, spirit. 5-pointed star. Then it's the goat that stands on top of the mountain. The goat stands on top of the mountain. Be a goat. Be a goat courageously. Know thyself. Know that you are an integrated balance of masculine and feminine. Like I said, I'm bringing this up because I mentioned most people are missing the Baphomet mark. This, even me, as much as I have tapped in with this energy, as much as I have identified with it, as much as I have sought to understand it, I sometimes be like, God damn, why am I tripping? Oh, I'm identifying with being a certain type of way. I'm missing the Baphomet mark. Let me get right back into the middle of androgyny, the middle of knowing that you have feminine and masculine, the middle of knowing that you are a soul inside of the body, the middle of knowing that this is not a polarity thing. This is the middle of polarity. So like basically Christ is one polarity, Satan is the other polarity. This is the middle right between that. So you got to know, yes, you got your aggression, you got your anger, you got your sadness, but you also got your joy, your happiness, you got your loving, your creativity, and you also got your destruction. You got that anger. You want to see people hurt. You motherfucking want to see people lose. Just accept it and see it in yourself. And that's okay, because for America to win, other countries got to lose. Motherfuckers got to die for America to thrive, for you to keep having a grocery store to go to. So there's a lot, especially, goddamn, if I was to get into society, you instantly got to think about AI and how that's taking over. And then for the next generation, how fucked up they gonna be. But that's because we've all just allowed police and military to take over our world. And now it's just advancing into AI. So, yeah. As we can see, this self, not self boundary line can be quite a flexible item. So it won't surprise us to find that even with the ego or mind, I am using these terms very loosely for the moment. Yet another type of boundary line can be erected for various reasons, some of which we will discuss later. The individual can even refuse to admit that some of the facets of her own psyche are hers. In psychological jargon, she alienates them or represses them or splits them off or projects them. The point is that she narrows her self-identity, her self, not self-boundary, to only certain parts of her egoic tendencies. So that's a very key thing. Like, all of us, men and women, we identify with one part of the ego, with one part of who we are, what we want to be, and then we fucking cut off and split and say, no, that's not me. I'm not that. And then it's like not owning self. It's basically just not taking accountability. And the only person that suffers is us. Like, truly, the only person that suffers is us. So it's like, man, oh man. Literally, just tap in and take accountability. Like, man, he just said it here. You split off for various reasons. It's all a big society and we're all programmed and do things very differently for very different reasons. That's why you got to get down to self and know thyself. But then you split off certain parts of yourself. You say, I'm not that. I don't do that. That's not me. I'm not responsible for that. And it's like, no one suffers but you. And then maybe those around you, but it's real. All right, so he's about to talk about the shadow. Shout out to y'all that's still with me. If you have made it this far, comment a motherfucking 1. Because you are whole. You are one. Unity consciousness. And also understand that 1 is an anagram of the word Neo in the Matrix. That is you. Your reality. Your mind. Your life. Your attraction. What you've brought into your life. For good or for bad. For however it's going to prepare you for the future. Or however the past has shaped you for right now. But goddamn, this is your life. You are the Neo. You are the one. Your whole simulation. Your whole soul experience. So, the narrow self-image, we will be calling the persona, and its meaning will become more obvious as we proceed. But as the individual identifies with only facets of her psyche, the persona, the rest of her psyche is then actually felt to be not self, foreign territory, alien, scary. She remaps her soul as to deny and try to exclude from consciousness and the unwanted aspects of herself. These unwanted aspects we call shadow. To a greater or lesser extent, the person becomes out of her mind / out of his mind. This quite obviously is another major and general type of boundary line. At this point, we are not trying to decide which of these types of self maps is right, correct, or true. We are simply noting in an important fashion that there are indeed several major types of self, not self boundary lines. And since we are approaching this topic in a non-judgmental way, we can at least mention one other type of boundary line that is today receiving so much attention, namely the boundary associated with the transpersonal self. Transpersonal means that some sort of process that is occurring in the individual that in a sense goes beyond the individual. The simplest instance of this extrasensory perception, or ESP, parapsychologists recognize several forms of ESP: telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, retrocognition. Yeah, the transpersonal self, you as a soul, something I was about to say, not true, that boundary associated transpersonal self. Yeah, the transpersonal self. Oh yeah, we dream. You dream. That is some of the biggest evidence that you are more than the body. You are more than the ego. We literally dream and have crazy fucking thoughts and imaginations and nightmares. We drift when we go to sleep. Like the body is in rest mode. You're only you're afraid to die because you're afraid of what's gonna happen after, but you're okay with going to sleep because you know you're gonna wake up. So you know that you're just resting the body. You know that you have dreams, and we all know that that is clear evidence of some type of transpersonal self, some type of higher identity, some type of spiritual awareness of some sort that is more than the body. So yeah, let's tap in, y'all. This is chapter 1. This is motherfucking chapter 1. Transpersonal means that some sort of a process is occurring in the individual that in a sense goes beyond the individual. The simplest instance of this extra sense, okay, read all of that. Telepathy, clairvoyance, like that's your psychic ability. Intuition, listen to your intuition. Intuition is interesting because you want to pair it with a lot of knowledge and intelligence so it becomes more accurate. That's a key. But you can only know life through trial and error, experimentation, and failure. It's like, that's something I've never said to y'all, but you should love failure, because when you fail, that at least you know you're trying. And then it's just only room to improve and get better. So I'm a perfectionist, so sometimes I hate failure. I hate to consider it, but I know that all of the trial and error and repetition of everything and all of the more and more and more and more and more just only makes me better. It only makes me greater for the future, for everyone around me. So you got to look at yourself like that too. Whatever failure, whatever mishaps you done went through, we don't lose. Nigga, it's just lessons. It's just lessons. So, yeah, goddamn. Yeah, the psychic ability, the ESP, it's all real. Let's diagnose this real quick. This right here is the spectrum of consciousness. This, Ken Wilber creates this diagram. Can't fully read it backwards right now. Yes, I can. Persona, shadow, body, environment. Man, oh man, a lot of shit. Maybe y'all can read my notes and annotations, and then I'll break it down a little bit myself. So, persona, shadow. You got your persona, and you got a shadow on the other side. You got your ego, and you got the body on the other side. Okay, so unity consciousness is down here. This is the biggest thing, like literally your soul right down here. And then look how it just narrows. It narrows into what you self-identify with rather than identifying with the whole, with everything, with life. I got the bluest fucking lips. It's insane. All right, fuck it. Actually, I will apply some chapstick to my blue lips. Got the gloss blue. All right. Yeah, the shadow I mentioned before, the id thoughts, acceptable versus non-acceptable societal characteristics, created thuggies and defenses for shadows, ignorance, non-competence, and confidence and vulnerabilities. Goddamn. Yeah, you create thuggies. You create fucking entities around you to come out and fight the shadow, the anger, the ego. You create that shit to literally come out and defend your shadow, your ignorance, your non-confidence, and you got this fucking entity that comes out to fight. You, as a soul, having a human experience, have that happening to you. And me too, at times, but I really strive to control that shit. And it works. It helps. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I am social mass, public life, private life, secret life. That's like the 4 fucking selves of us. Your persona. Internal beliefs and assumptions. The ego on one side. You got the body on the other. Man, oh man. Psychological integration. Psychological integration. You must psychologically integrate. So, yeah, just remember, y'all, like I said, it's no level of perfection. No level of perfection. It's just knowledge, it's just understanding, because we think 70,000 thoughts a day. I think I've actually like minimized that and like telling y'all like, yeah, just, you know, think better thoughts, 70,000 thoughts a day. If you think better thoughts, blah, blah, blah. I've minimized how hard that actually is. But no, I am not going to do that because it's easy. I think we just choose to think the same thoughts. We just choose to do the same things because we like it, because we enjoy it. And that's okay. That's called experiencing life. But it's easy to change. It's easy to transform. You got 70,000 thoughts in a day. So like, you can change those thoughts or you can keep doing the same thing. I just hope that you're happy. Hope that you're feeling good with those thoughts. Just accept it. Just accept your habits. Accept that you like scrolling on social media. Accept that you like doing whatever you do. Accept that you are you. And accept that you have to be a little bit different around other people to get the quote unquote success or what you want to attract. So it's a constant game of work. It's a constant game of balance. But yeah, like I said, no perfection in none of this. Even the words, persona, ego, this, that, the other. These are boundary lines and words that are drawn on the human experience to help you kind of understand self a little bit more. But man, it'll help you a lot to order the book. This is No Boundary by Ken Wilber. I haven't found any audiobooks anywhere, so this is one of the ones you got to order. And I do got so many more highlights, so much more in here. Part of me wants to stop for right now. I'm about at the end of the chapter, but just so y'all know, man, like this shit is intense. Like page 51. There is a self-existent reality which the basis of our consciousness. There is a self-existent reality which is the basis of our consciousness of ego. That reality is the witness of the 3 states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, and sleeping, and is distinct from the 5 bodily coverings. It's like, it's just endless gems in this book, and I got endless highlights. What did I just say? The reality. Yeah, remember the split between reality and actuality. Your reality is your mind, your world, your thoughts, what you agree to. Actuality is the actual physical world. Like, just think of everything without names. Just imagine if you looked at everything and you didn't say no words. You didn't put no labels on it, no definitions, no self-identity. That's the actual world, just physical nature, the world, life. So yeah, all of that identity, all of that label, all of that ego, it's good, it's bad, it's this, it's that. You call it this, you're experiencing this, you're just identifying with it, and it becomes you. So, you know, the psychological integration process, it is good because it enables and allows more success. More self-knowledge equals more success. And that's all the psychological integration and shadow work is all about. So again, shout out to y'all that made it to the end of this. If you made it this far, like I said, comment a 1 because you are whole. You are the Neo in the Matrix and you must control your life. Stay tuned, y'all. More videos, more content, more everything. I love y'all. Stay godlike.